All right.
Okay.
We're live.
Ayo, welcome back.
Welcome back to your Everyday Rich podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Jen.
And I'm Jason Cal. And we are finally sitting back here in our chairs in our podcast, aka / office studio here, makeshift studio. We just came back from a family vacation from Mexico.
Mexico.
And Jen is obviously clearly more tanned on the video than I am. But the sun was good.
Drinks were good.
Drinks were amazing.
Too many tequila shots one day.
It's Mexican water, as Luis the bartender.
Agua.
You're like, you're not having enough Mexican water, man. Like, sure, bring it on.
And the one shot is a double shot.
Oh,
Their shot glasses are massive. Anyways.
But yeah, we obviously missed a episode last week just because of obviously we were on vacation, and truthfully, we didn't have our recordings in order and edited and yada yada yada. But
we're slacking.
Is what it is.
Whatever.
So, but when we were enjoying our time in the sun and consuming all that Mexican water, and after a week, we realized that we're coming back with like, man, we end up tipping a lot of people.
Yeah, for an all-inclusive vacation, you're not supposed to spend any money when you get there because, it's all-inclusive.
Yeah.
And then you bring a couple $100 US, and then where'd all the money go?
Yeah, we didn't buy anything.
I didn't buy any souvenirs. We didn't go on any excursions.
And yet you end up like shorter on the bills, on the Benjis.
Yeah.
Take in consideration that we got to pay an extra 30% on our conversions. It's like, whoa, I just tipped this guy $1.35.
Yeah. Well, that's where all the money went, essentially, is tipping. So here we are, our episode today, talking about tipping culture.
Yeah, because we've been having these conversations about tipping culture for a long time, back and forth. Like, it just every so often we'll talk about like tips when we go to restaurants and things like that, different services.
Mm-hmm.
And we often complain about tips, especially when COVID was going around. Remember, they started tipping like different people.
Mm-hmm.
But then obviously coming back from our vacation, I'm just like, hey, you know what? Like, who do we end up tipping, right? We end up tipping
the bartender.
No, even before that, it was like,
you
get off the plane, you go into the bus. You get off the bus. Remember the
driver?
Bus driver's like, just let you know, hey, listen, a tip would be appreciated. And he was really funny about it, right? He was like making a joke about it, and I'm sure they don't get paid a lot. And then you get off the bus, you get to the hotel, you tip the bellhop.
Yep.
And then after that, it's like the next person you probably see is the bartender.
Yep.
And then the waiter at dinner or at lunch, the servers.
The people going around, asking while you're lounging on your chair, would you like a drink?
You want a drink? Yeah. Sure. Why not? And then even at the restaurants, right? In you go to the buffet, there's people there's an omelet station. Oh man, just gotta say, omelet station was the bomb. So we were in we were in Cancun, but really it was America. So if anyone's ever gone to Cancun or Punta or what's the other place? Playa del Carmen, all these Mexican resort towns, it's not Mexico. So our kids actually didn't experience Mexico.
Still a lot of tacos.
Yeah. But anyways, omelet station is really popular, obviously, right? At the buffet. So you end up tipping the omelet person. And then everyone else, etc., right? Like anyone you can think of that is providing you a service, you tip them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, does tipping, I was asking myself, I was like, if I was back home and I did this, does it lead to better or preferential service? When in most cases? Well,
in Mexico it did.
Yeah. And
that is why people recommend tip the bartender.
Exactly.
You tip the bartender a big tip at the beginning of your trip. and they will provide you with excellent service for the remainder of the week.
Yeah, and it's very true. So, case in point, I mean, like, I'm just thinking back when, like, I would traveling with my parents, right? So, I don't remember my dad paying, like, tipping anyone. But like, we didn't go on all inclusive. We've never been to an all inclusive in my family, but it was like, you go to the hotel, and they have the bellhop, and they bring your bags. My dad would be like, no, I can bring my own bags. Kids, push all the suitcases.
Well, that's not tipping. That's just not using their services. That's different.
Yeah, no, it's true. But I'm leading to that, right? So it's like, it's funny because now we end up using these services, right? And then you kind of feel guilty if you don't tip them.
Yeah.
Right. And it's almost like you feel obligated to tip them.
Yeah.
But understanding that they don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
To start
I think
with.
that's the difference, is that, especially in Mexico, we Googled it when we were there. We're like, how much do these, all the people here in the resort make? It was 12 something.
12 US or something?
US a day.
Yeah.
A day. Not an hour, but a day.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's like they get nothing, next to nothing. So
yeah.
Like, in that sense, like, I'm totally cool with tipping them. But then back to your comment saying, like, does it end up getting your answer about the preferential service? It totally does, right? It absolutely does. So it's like, and I'll give you this example where, remember, we're at the bar, the pool bar, and then our good friend Luis and Carlo G.
Yeah.
you tip them like 10 US on the first round, right? When we first got there. And then, you feed them a few bucks here and there, because if they're making like 4 or 5 drinks for you, different cocktails, and the kids are like, hey, give me mango tango, no alcohol, no Mexican water in it. In the crowd, when it got busy, like, you sat there at the bar and you kind of like pointed, or you caught their eye, they just came right to you.
Yeah.
Right? They would kind of go everywhere around and just go right to you.
But that's the thing. They know that if they provide better service, they will get.
Yeah.
Right? It's not automatic.
That's right.
It's not an automatic tip.
Yeah.
Right? All inclusive. Like, when they work more and they give you better service, they come say hi to you, they come offer you a drink. Like, you don't ask for it. Like, you're not even calling them. Like, they literally see you, and then they'll come to you and ask you if you want a drink.
Yeah. It was just like, hey, more Mexican water.
Yeah.
More Mexican water.
Right? Like, you don't have to ask for it. Like, they'll just come.
Yeah, and it was funny because I was sitting there, just chilling, right, after like enough shots, and I see this gentleman. He just reminded me of like a smaller, skinnier Jeff Bezos, like a Jeff Bezos jacked right now, right? But same bald head, small tan little guy. And I remember coming. He might have been French, I don't remember, from Quebec or something. And he sat there and he was asking all these questions about drinks, and he didn't tip. And the funny thing, I remember looking and observing at the bartender, and he was just like, the next round he came, he just sat there, and he was getting frustrated because he wasn't getting served.
Yeah.
Because he ordered all these drinks, he never tipped.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
that's the thing. It's not mandatory, and it's not at these all-inclusive places. I feel like in Mexico or any all-inclusive, it's not like it's a standard to tip. I feel like.
Is it a frowned upon though if you don't?
I don't think so either.
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of people don't tip. I hear a lot of people don't tip at these resorts.
I've noticed, like, some people didn't tip.
Yep.
I don't think it's normal. I wouldn't say it's not normal. I wouldn't say it's like automatically assumed that you're going to get a tip.
Yeah.
Versus, we can talk about later, here in Toronto is different.
Yep.
There's an automatic assumption that there is a percentage tipped.
Yeah, you feel obligated, like it's
right.
Like, yeah. Yep.
I don't feel like in all-inclusive Mexico that's what it was like.
So it's like funny, right? Because I did some Googling or like ChatGPT, and it's like, what are the origins of tipping? Because obviously it predates us. We just know it's just part of our cultural norms in North America that we have to tip, which is mind-boggling. But so let's go and read you something, right? So apparently tipping, this is like, there's no real data, but people like ChatGPT apparently assumes that it originated from Europe in the 17th century. So probably from England coffee houses where patrons would tip servers for prompt service. There's another theory that this tipping practice came from aristocrats. So, high class, the highest of all class people, where they guests would give money to the servants for exceptional service. Almost kind of like a mini bonus. Right. And then obviously in America, we've started adopting that everywhere. or North America.
North America, yeah.
So then it's like, for us, everything is the status quo for tipping. I think for the longest time I can remember, right? The status quo is any service you end up using is like you're supposed to tip regardless of the level of service
it's
you
standard.
receive.
You might as well just put it right in the bill.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
It should just
like,
be an extra tax.
It should just put like tip. And
Yeah.
actually some restaurants do, right?
Yep.
Your party's over 6 people, it's an automatic 18% tip, right? It's like literally right in your bill.
Yeah, and they call it differently. Now it's called gratuity, right? Which is a different term.
It stems from gratitude,
yeah,
right?
From gratitude. It's like, yeah.
From the word gratitude, right? Yeah.
And the thing is, like, if the original concept was based on prompt or excellent service, like above and beyond.
You said earlier, exceptional service.
Exceptional. The tip would be justified in my opinion, right? Mm-hmm. Because like the thing is, someone's providing you a service and you're essentially paying them for a service.
You already are.
Just
by being there. Yeah,
that's right.
You're already paying it.
Whether you're eating out, you're at the hair salon,
yeah,
you're getting a ride in a taxi,
you're paying for massage. You're paying for the service, the good service.
Yeah. So it's like, why is it that culturally now you are expected to tip regardless of that service? Like almost like there's a minimum now, right?
Yeah. So I'm saying might as well just raise the cost extra 10%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if whatever it is costs you $50, might as well just charge $55.
So then,
or $60.
So okay, so then does it change in your opinion based on the type of service you're receiving? So like, okay, we'll use the most common one, restaurants, eating out, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're dining out. And the typical, let's say, quote unquote, typical is 15%. Mm-hmm. Right? Does that change? Do you think does that, in your opinion, should that change based on the service you're receiving? Like, like instead of eating, now you're getting your hair done at the salon, mm-hmm. or I'm going to my barber, mm-hmm. or like, you're in a taxi. Mm-hmm. Should that rate change? Or percentage?
Me personally, it's always standard is 15% for me.
Regardless.
Rounded up or down.
Mm-hmm.
The next, depending on what it is, but if it's cash, obviously it's rounded up or down.
Yeah. It's interesting, like, because so I'm thinking about all the barbers that I've been to, right? And I love you all, my barbers, okay? So, but I'm just going to use you guys as examples because it's such an easy example here.
Yeah.
But like, let's say a tip's like, let's say your haircut back in the day was $15 or $20.
Yeah.
Standard would be like you add a $5 tip on top.
Oh, so that's like 30.
That's like 30%. Right. It was because you're not going to pull out like $2, mm-hmm. $3 to give them like 15 or 10, whatever, right? 10%.
Yeah. So just what I'm saying. You round up, right?
But you end up getting, they end up getting 30 plus percent.
Yeah.
Right. So then in that sense, it's almost like, well, no, I'm actually paying my barber more money, mm-hmm. like above that.
More than 15%.
Right. And here's the thing. Barbers are always going to have off days too.
Did they give you exceptional service when you did that?
Not all the time. No offense. Like, I'm just saying. I'm just saying how it is, right? Mm-hmm. And like I said, I love my barbers, okay? I tip them regardless.
Yeah.
But like I've said, if I went back to the whole concept of tipping was based on exceptional service.
Yeah.
If I got kind of a bad haircut that day, because I don't know, the barber, it's on a bad mood.
Was it an off day?
Off day. We all have off days. Should I tip? And what's funny? I asked my barber about this. He's like, well, if you don't tip me, I'll remember it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It has become a norm in North America.
Yeah. Which is silly, because then it's essentially,
might as well just raise the price.
Just raise the price.
You might as well just raise it to, if it's $15, might as well just raise it to 20.
Yeah. Call it flat 20, right?
Yeah, call it a day.
It's like this whole thing. Remember back in the day when the airlines had all these additional fees and you added on fees over fees over fees? People were like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, how much extra do I need to pay?
Yeah.
Let's make it simple.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so go back to Mexico, right? So, and it's almost kind of like back in the day. Remember when we went clubbing? So yes. It's like you order the drink. I remember like $3 drinks or whatever. Like
$3 drinks. Wow.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. Tonic Fridays, Tonic Thursdays. Yo, shout out to Tonic Nightclub.
That just dates us back so long ago.
But you'd get a drink, okay, and you typically would tip per drink, right?
Correct.
Or let's say if I went
every time you buy a drink,
every time you buy a drink,
you go to the bar, you tip.
yeah.
Yes.
So if I went to go buy one drink, I would tip $1 usually. It was $1 a drink.
Okay.
Right. And if I got like 10 drinks, I wouldn't tip $10. I would actually cut that back. I wouldn't tip $10.
Well, how much would how much it costs your 10 drinks?
Whatever. I don't know. Let's say $100.
You wouldn't give 110?
I don't know. Maybe.
See, or you probably don't remember.
I don't remember this university
days. If you're buying 10 drinks at a time, you probably don't remember.
But I'm not buying $10 drinks, that's for sure. But like, so at Mexico, there'd be times where this would be very discretionary, right? I would be like, because I already tipped bartenders like $10 off the bat.
Yeah.
So in my head, I got $5 left. I got $5 dineros, 5 dineros. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco dineros. I'm going to ration these throughout the day.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like you're like feeding a coin machine, like a laundry machine. So like, you just got to keep it running, just enough. So then I'd get up to the bar. It'd be weird, right? Because he'd point to me and be like, "You want another drink?" I'm like, "Sure, give me a drink." And I tip him. And the next round, I bring the kids. I wouldn't tip them. The next round, I wouldn't tip them. It'd be like, so it would be $1. Usually it'd be $1.
Yeah.
So it's like, for you, if you were going, and just specifically this scenario about like, because it's talking about Cancun and drinking.
Yeah.
Would you tip more based on the amount you order?
I would say so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason why, you tip $10 right in the beginning, you're going to be there for the whole day.
Oh, yeah.
It's all inclusive. It's all you can drink, and you're there for the whole week. So that's the whole point of tipping early. And it's different than going to the bar, because you go to the bar once, you don't know if you're going to go back to the bar.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the only time you go to the bar,
mm-hmm.
or that particular bar. You might go to this bar this time, and then, an hour later you go to a different bar, right? So that's why you tip per drink in a Toronto bar.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about like when we went to the buffet breakfast, right? And we walked out, and I was like, "Oh crap, I forgot to tip the server." And it's like I pull it like, I don't know, $2, and in the grand scheme, $2 is like so small, right? $2, and it's like, okay,
it's tiny,
but if to them it makes such a big difference, right?
I know.
If you end up collecting, let's say, $50 a day on top, like that's a big difference from.
Well, when you make $12 a day.
Yeah.
It's huge. And think about it. One $2 US is, if you were to eat food at a restaurant, your tip is way more than
yeah.
For a family of 4, the 4 of us, is way more than $2 US for your tip. If you were to just, eat food and order food normally.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like culturally, the whole tipping culture is customary, right? And but depending on, I've always rationalized this. It's like, if you go to a Chinese restaurant, the standard is actually not 15%. If you ask everyone, it's 10%.
Because the service is shit at a Chinese restaurant.
Usually, yeah. Because
come on,
they plop your tea.
They literally on the table. That's it. They don't come back.
You have to ask. You have to ask for cold water. You have to. Here's the thing, right? If you go to Chinese restaurants, they don't come fill up your teapot again, but you have to signal it. You have to basically signal that your teapot is empty.
Yeah. That's so funny when you go to like a North American restaurant, or the waiters always come back and say, "Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Do you need anything else?
How's your meal?
How's everything going?" It's like, thanks. And I'm so used to going to Asian restaurants, like, thanks, yeah, everything's fine.
Yeah. Chinese restaurants, it's like they just dump the food on
and
there
walk away.
And they won't even ever come back the whole meal. But how many times have you complained at Chinese restaurants? I've barely complained because usually the food's cooked right.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, right?
I'm not ordering my like chow mein medium rare.
I don't think Chinese restaurants will advertise themselves as exceptional service.
It's true.
Exceptional food, but not exceptional service.
So then in other countries, like when you go to Asia, specifically Asia, right? And Japan, most notably Japan and Korea. Like, remember when we went to Japan first time and we left money, like, because of a tip, right? We just calculate the money, do 10, 15%.
That's in our blood. We just remember.
I remember the waitress running after us.
Yeah.
like literally running after us out of the restaurant and be like, Mister, like coming and be like giving us money back. And it was like, no, it's a tip. They're like, no, we cannot accept tips.
So in Japan, it is a sign of, I'm not really sure why. I should probably just Google this, but I'm not sure why, but it's a sign of disrespect when you leave money behind.
Yeah.
Why? I really don't understand why it's a sign of disrespect. But anyways, it is. Yeah. So the tipping culture is non-existent in Japan. Right? Whatever the price is on the menu, that's what you pay. And that's, exactly what you pay plus the tax. And then you're out the door.
Yeah. And it's like, because the cool thing is also too is I think a lot of it is in Japan, a lot of people are doing their job based on honor, right? There's extreme pride in doing your work well.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is, what you get paid, where you are in the social ladder.
Yeah.
You just do it everything out of honor. So, but I feel like here in North America, because of this whole cultural custom now, it's become part of our fabric.
Yeah.
People are like, they take very little pride in their work.
Well, there's no incentive to do better because if everyone's going to give you the 15% anyways, regardless of the service you provide, why would you work any harder to get more?
There is no incentive.
Right? No one's going to not many people will give you 20-25% more because you've done a little more. I'm not going to say no one, but there are people that do that, but majority of people, because that's not the norm. The majority of people just tip 15%.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
There's no incentive.
Yeah. How many times have you just been like, oh, I just got a tip, or I leave a tip and we walk away, right? And the service was shit.
Yeah.
And we're just like, there are instances that I have tipped like 5% or something ridiculously low to make a point. Right? Because again, it's almost feel like I shouldn't, because in my opinion, right, tips are based on exceptional service.
Yeah.
So if you just did your job and you just gave me, average service, you did your job.
Yeah.
I shouldn't technically tip you, but we feel like we have to, right? Anyways, so that whole thing, that stigma is like, if you don't tip, even like from cultural standpoint, if I'm going to eat, like, let's say at a Moxie's or at, a North American restaurant, and I don't leave a tip, or I leave a lower than standard tip, there's a stigma that people might think, oh,
you're a jerk.
You're a jerk. Because he's Chinese. Asians are cheap.
We're cheap.
Right? So it's like, oh shoot, do I want to propagate this stigma even further?
Yeah.
Because then the next Asian person that comes in behind me, that way the server's gonna be like, fuck, another Asian.
Yeah.
Right. But it's funny because like one of our friends, remember, he was saying that when he went traveling in the States, he actually tipped more because he didn't want that stigma.
Yeah.
He tipped 25%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like when you in at least in North America, when people provide standard service equals 15%. Right? Is it not correct? Standard service is 15%. Like I said, if they provide exceptional service, you may be lucky and that person might give you 20%, 25%, but that's not the norm.
And here's the thing is, right? So I remember talking about this with someone. They were in the service industry growing up as a older teenager, young adult. And then because the service industry, typically the wages are lower, right? But below average, like usually below minimum wage or at minimum wage.
Yep.
So in order to supplement their income, they rely on tips, right? But in that essence, it's like, okay, you know what? Even if you do rely on tips, you better go out and earn your dollar.
Yeah.
Because if you're just doing your expected job, why should you expect someone to give you money? It's like me. If I was if my 9 to 5 unionized job, and I go around and go just do my job, punch in, punch out kind of thing. And at the end of the year, we go and review it and be like, yeah, I did my job. Should I be able to go and say, hey,
I want a bonus?
Yeah, I deserve a bonus. I deserve my scaled bonus, whatever it was, based on those KPIs.
Yeah.
My boss would be like, what?
Yeah.
Tell me what you did above and beyond.
Yeah.
Right. So it's that same idea, in my opinion. That's because like people will argue, oh, they don't make enough. But guess what? They also decided to choose to work there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what? People are going to come back and give me a lot of heat for blowing this smoke, but everyone has a choice, right? Everyone has a choice to pick where they want to work. If they really want to do that, if they didn't want to, they can find some other employment. That's the truth, man. Mm-hmm. So, it's a shame that in North America society, we kind of become, obligated to tip regardless.
So if you're to wash a clean slate in North America, would you have a tipping culture, or would you rather be like Asia and have no tipping culture?
No tip, man. I'm cheap ass. I don't want to tip anyone else. Why do I need to pay an extra secondary tax? We already got taxed enough.
But would you allow for a tip if like they did provide exceptional service?
Yeah, I totally.
Like Japan, you can't even do that. Like you can't even do that. Like even if you felt like I want to give this person extra money because they were really great, whatever, you can't even do that in Japan.
No, I think for exceptional service, it should be discretionary. Like I should have the discretion to say, you know what, I really enjoyed my service here. Yeah. I want to give them more money.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the thing: if I'm an often patron of this establishment, I know it's going to go a long way too. So like, there's some political things here too, right? You have to like play the cards right.
Yeah.
But yes, to answer your question, absolutely, I would, because back to the whole concept of tipping is that if you believe someone offered you good service and a better service, why not reward them?
Yeah.
That is how our capitalistic society works, right? We reward each other on results.
Yep.
So when you're eating out and see at the end of the meal, unless you had great service, right? Or even if it wasn't great service, and this happens a lot at North American establishments where they come bring you the machine, they start chatting with you, and they stand there with their hands behind their back, and they give you the machine, and they're standing right beside you, and you're like trying to finish the transaction. You're just like putting your card in, whatever. Yeah. Like, press the number. How do I do this? Do I
15?
The first 18. Option is like sometimes 20%. You're like,
yeah, and you press other.
But the way the server's right there, you're just like, oh yeah. So hey, how's your day going? Right? Like, fuck, 20%. Come on.
I actually don't like how restaurants or certain places will automatically charge a certain amount of tip. Like I mentioned earlier, where you have a larger party, they'll automatically charge an 18% tip.
Yeah, for like large party, gratuities.
I understand large parties is a lot more work, and when there is a large party, I do think that if they did well, that they should be tipped more. But I don't feel that should be automatically added to my bill. I'd give it the 18%. Say, hey, you know what? It was there's 10 of us, 12 of us, a lot of orders. Everyone's asking for different drinks and blah, blah, blah. Like I would say, yeah, okay, I'm going to give you more than the 15% because it was a lot of work. Right. But why would you automatically charge me 18% right from the get go? I haven't even eaten yet.
Well, what's the difference between if I had 10 people, right, in one group versus 5 tables of 2? What's the difference? It's the same amount of people.
Yeah, but there's like just so many more demands.
What do you mean? If I came and ate, basically, let's say I had 5 tables of 2, like 5 people, 10 people dining.
Yeah.
They're all going to order their own meals. What's the difference? Instead of like individually, you have to order them now all together at once. If anything, it makes your job easier. You're just doing it all at once.
I guess I could look at it that way.
Yeah. Right. I don't know. That's just how I see it. But I get you. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like I said, they could just say, hey, I'm just going to get 18% automatically, right?
Yeah. Why do I want to do the minimum required?
But so it's the whole takeout thing too. Remember when during COVID, obviously, like you wanted to like tip the restaurant, right? You wanted to give some tips to the restaurant because they were struggling.
Yeah.
But now, like because the whole thing of service, right? You're not being served anything other than just your food, and they put an automatic tip on there. That infuriates me on takeout. It's like it pops up 15%. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you asking me to tip your ass? I'm doing all the work here. I drove here. I'm picking it up. You're not even loading it into my car. It's like, damn it, jeez. But I do appreciate owners or people that work establishments that know tip out. They'll skip that step for you. They'll actually skip it and hand you the machine.
So you can just like pay.
Just pay. So I respect that. I appreciate that a lot. But yeah, like, you know, the that's kind of how we thought about tipping, and we're like, hey, why don't we talk about this? And all those stacks of ones disappeared to Luis and Carlos G.
Yep.
But no, we tipped well. I think we tipped appropriately. You know, if I had to do it again, I would do it the exact same way. And you know, hopefully maybe in our children's our lifetime, their tipping culture might change. I have no idea, but
it just probably go up 20%.
Might get even higher. Tipping inflation. There might be tipping inflation.
There is tipping inflation. Back in the day, it was 10%. Mm-hmm. Now it's 15%. Now I see a lot when I get that machine.
20.
The standard is 18 to 20 now.
Yeah.
There is tipping inflation.
You know what's funny too? Saying. I think tipping is kind of going out to every single industry. I took the car out to one of those fast oil changes, and just chatting it up with the I guess the associate, right, and representative there. He's a good guy, knowledgeable. I just shoot the shit, right? And I remember I was like, you know, I tipped this guy pretty good. And lo and behold, when he handed the machine, there was an option for a tip for an oil change.
Wow, really?
So I tipped him. You know why? Because he actually gave me a 20% discount.
Oh.
Just shooting the shit with him, and he just gave me a discount. He's like, "Oh, I found a discount code for you." So I gave him a 15% tip.
Yeah. Nice.
On an oil change, Jen.
I have to say I've never given a tip on an oil change.
Yeah. So times are changing. Yeah. But let us, you know what? Hey, let us know what you think about tipping. You know,
what would you do if you had a clean slate? If you were to wipe out this tipping culture, what culture would you instill in North America, or wherever you are?
And if you're going to go on a all-inclusive vacation, what's your strategy for tipping? Like, do you tip individually each time, or do you tip off the bat? Do you tip at the end? What do you do? So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know we did. We were kind of laughing about this on the plane and thinking about this. So, you know, tipping culture is rampant. You know, you might think tipping is just fine, right? But I know a lot of people that if they could eliminate tipping, they would be like, gonzo, I don't want to pay an extra tip. And if you're my barbers, hey, still love you. Anyone in the future that's going to give us service, we will tip you well, okay? But please make sure to give us above and beyond.
Give us the exceptional service.
Then it's easy.
We will easily. It's not a no-brainer for us.
Unless you're a Chinese restaurant, I'm still tipping you 10%.
Well, I don't expect service from a Chinese restaurant, so it's all good.
Anyways, okay. Guys, till next time.
Yeah. See ya.
Tip away. All right. Peace.
Your Everyday Rich podcast is presented solely for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. Any such information or other material should not be construed as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a qualified professional.